Hey, what's going on, guys? It's FPL Yusuf here. Welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be going over my final team selection ahead of the game week 12 deadline. I'm going to be taking you guys through what my current team looks like, the captaincy choice that I'm making this week, but also two transfers which may end up potentially costing me a -8 hit this week. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for joining me here today on my YouTube channel for another video. Before we get into this one, if you wouldn't mind dropping a thumbs up and subscribing down below, it would be greatly appreciated. So, as you guys can see on screen, this is the current team that I have got going into this game week 12 deadline. We're going to start off in goal, and that is going to be David Raya. Now, I've spoke about him in my transfer targets video. He would be the goalkeeper that I would be going with if I was on wildcard this week. I do own him. I've owned him for a couple of weeks now, and to be honest with you, I know Arsenal defence have been a little bit underwhelming. There hasn't been a clean sheet. I think the last time was game week 4, I believe. So it's been a while. I do expect Arsenal to pick it up over these next few fixtures. They've got a really good run coming up, and I do expect them to start getting some clean sheets back on the board. So if you are, on the Arsenal defence, whether it be through Raya, Saliba, Gabriel, you might be doubled up. I wouldn't worry too much about getting rid of them this week. I think, Nottingham Forest at home, it's not the best fixture in the world, but it's also not the worst. I think Forest are much better at their ground than they are away from home. But just in general, I think Arsenal are pretty good, pretty sort of solid over the next sort of 5-6 weeks. So yeah, for me, David Raya is going to be starting in goal. Then we move on to defence. So first up, we've got Mazraoui from Manchester United. Now, he is probably the biggest rotation risk that I have in this team, as we haven't seen a Ruben Amorim Man United side play yet. So we don't know what the ideal lineup's going to be. We're guessing that it's going to be a 3-4-3 situation, which means that Mazraoui could play as either the right wing back or the left wing back. We know he has that potential to play either side. That obviously does call into question the likes of Dalot. Luke Shaw's coming back. Could Garnacho play as one of the wing backs? Could Ahmed play as one of them? So there's a lot of doubt surrounding the Manchester United starting 11 in particular at the moment. And obviously, if you own them, you're not going to get rid of them before Ipswich away. If you are contemplating bringing them in, maybe then you sort of look elsewhere. But for me this week, I'm going to start him. If he doesn't play, he doesn't play. But I think just for the fixture alone, and how good he was last week as well before the international break, I think, for me, just a no-brainer to get into the defence. Moving on to Rayan Ait-Nouri, again, same thing for him, really, is that he's kind of a no-brainer this week. Wolves, I'm not really expecting too many clean sheets. Obviously, we did get one from them before the international break against Southampton, which was really, really great, actually, because he didn't actually get attack and return that game. But I think if you own Ait-Nouri now, it's probably for the upside of his attacking threat, which he offers. If Wolves can keep sort of 1 or 2 clean sheets along the way, even better. But I think most of us have Ait-Nouri in there for attack and return, but also because we can rotate him out. So this week for me, I want him in that starting lineup. So he's going to be the second player in defence. And the third man that I've got is one transfer that I've already made this week, and that is Ibrahima Konate coming in for Rico Lewis. Now, I made this transfer a couple of days ago. I missed the Konate price rise, but hopefully I will at the time of recording. I don't think Rico Lewis has dropped yet, but it's expected that he's going to drop before tomorrow. So hopefully I will miss that. But it's also, even without the price changes and stuff, it's more about trying to secure players who are going to guarantee you minutes as we come into these sort of next sort of 4 or 5 game weeks. Not weeks, game weeks, because sometimes you're going to have double or triple games per week. You kind of want as many players who are going to guarantee you 90 minutes and are going to be first choice for their club. And Rico Lewis just wasn't saying it. Konate looking like he's going to be, their main man. It's not to say that he won't be rotated throughout, the games. Because obviously they've got Champions League coming up. They've still got, midweek games. They've got a lot of them. So over the next few weeks, they're going to be playing Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, something like that. So yeah, for me, I have bought him in this week. It's a great fixture against Southampton. And yeah, I'm hoping for a Liverpool clean sheet. So he will round off my defence for me. Now, onto the midfield. So first up, we've got Cole Palmer, probably borderline the most essential player you're looking to bring into your team right now. Chelsea's fixtures over the next sort of 6-7 weeks are just fantastic. And he's just somebody who's going to be so essential to how they play. And usually when Chelsea play good, he's on the receiving end of some big points. So we've seen this season, he can have the big hauls, the hat tricks, the 4 goals, the 4 assists. We've seen he can do it. And we know that Cole Palmer's got that potential in his locker. I do think Chelsea have had a bit of a difficult run of fixtures, which may be why we haven't seen it as frequently as we would have liked. However, I do think, like I said, coming to these sort of next 6-7 fixtures, it's just primed and set up for him to have a big run. So yeah, Cole Palmer going to be the first name on this team sheet in the midfield. Next up is Semenyo. Now, I don't think it's necessarily a great fixture this week against Brighton. It's okay. I like the fact that they are home, because Bournemouth are just a better team when they're playing at home versus when they're away. I think this one will be a close game. I don't think there'll be a lot in it, to be honest with you. I think if you own in Semenyo, if you could bench him this week, I would say it's definitely an option. But I think, just due to Bournemouth's fixtures coming up after, he's not someone you're going to get rid of. He's at a very good price point. obviously has, I think he's got the second most shots behind Erling Haaland this year, actually, funnily enough. So, you know, you're going to get opportunities from him. Maybe some of them might be a little bit more low XG than we would like, but, you know, you'd rather have a player who's taking shots versus a player who's not. So yeah, for me, Semenyo is going to be someone who I'm going to be starting this week. Also in the midfield, we've got Brian and Burmo. Now, I only predict that I'm going to have him for maybe a couple more weeks. I think maybe 2 weeks at max. I think game week 14 is when Brentford's fixtures sort of swing a little bit. So for me, he's going to be looking to sort of probably exit the team then. But for the time being, Brentford have got the next 2 fixtures really good. And Brentford at home, believe it or not, I think they've accumulated about a 10 XG this season when they've been playing at home. Just how many goals they've scored. So yeah, for me, I do expect goals. Obviously, you know, last game we saw Burma play a little bit wider than what we would have liked. I think usually when Brentford play against one of the bigger boys, they play a 5-3-2, which means Burma plays up front with Vista, which is kind of probably where we'd want him more often than not. But that's not to say that he can't get involved in the game. You know, he's on penalties, still has a decent expected assist rate as well. So yeah, there's still definitely chances for him to return. But like I said, probably here for the next 2, and then after that, it'll probably be time to shift him on a little bit. And on to the last midfield spot. On screen, it's going to say it's Bukayo Saka, but this is one of the transfers that I wanted to talk about, and I will come on to in the next section. And that is downgrading Bukayo Saka to Anthony Gordon. Now, there is a reason for it. Obviously, you know, Saka is Arsenal's best attacker. There's no doubt about it. He's on penalties for them. He just is the most consistent. I think with Saka, it's sort of a 6 to an 8 point, you know, consistent run of games. Most returns will probably be somewhere in that region. Of course, he has the potential to haul, but I think he's more of a consistent, just tick along player than a massive, you know, 13, 15, 16 point haul every couple of weeks. Now, the thing about him is, and the reason why I'm looking to make the transfer, one is because I do like Newcastle's run in particular. And Anthony Gordon, I think, I touched on it in my last video where FPL sometimes is about reacting to who's on good form, but it's also about trying to jump on players who are about to come into good form. And I think that Newcastle in particular have started to pick up their performances over the last few weeks. And I do think that Anthony Gordon could have quite a nice little run in this team. The freeing up the money also helps for one of my striker spots, which I'm going to come on to in a minute, which is also a fellow Newcastle player. So I'm sure you guys can guess who that is. But that is one potential transfer that I'm looking to make, which I'm going to come on to the next section in a minute. Sticking with the theme of transfers as we move on to the forwards, the second one is moving Danny Welbeck out for Alexander Isak. Now, I'm going to put a poll up on my Twitter later today. So if you haven't followed me already, just go. I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. If you wouldn't mind dropping a follow there, it'd be greatly appreciated. But I'm going to leave a poll on Twitter about, do you guys think that it's worth taking a -8 to get rid of Saka and Welbeck out for Isak and Gordon? Now, obviously, I've made my first free transfer with Konate replacing Rico Lewis, which means that the next 2 would be from minus. Now, I do really like West Ham, which is kind of why I really want Alexander Isak in there. I have no plans to sell Erling Haaland, which I'm going to come on to in a second. As you can see, he's got the captaincy armband on him. But I just think Isak's starting to find a little bit of form now. Newcastle's starting to pick it up a little bit. They haven't got the best fixtures, but they haven't got the worst either. They're sort of somewhere in between, probably more swerving towards the good side, especially over the next sort of 5-6 weeks. That's when they really get good. So yeah, for me, Isak is somebody that I really am looking to target. So like I said, I will leave a poll to whether or not you guys think that that's a good change from -8 over on my Twitter. Next up is Matthias Cunha. Again, same thing for him as Rain 8 Nori. He's somebody who, you know, he's just going to be in there for the next sort of 7 to 8 weeks. You know, Wolves' fixtures are just so good across these sort of like game week 12 to game week 18, 19. And Cunha is just their main man. He's on penalties. He's just a bonus points machine. Like, if he scores or assists, usually he ends up in the bonus points. If he scores, it's probably 3 bonus points. If he assists, he usually ends up getting something. So it just goes to show you how good his underlying data is for the bonus points. So yeah, for me, Cunha going to stay in there for the next sort of 6-7 weeks. Not a problem with him. And last up, the biggest talking point around this is Erling Haaland. Now, for me, I've touched on this over the last few weeks a couple of times, and I don't want to keep going over it again and sound like a broken record, but I just think for me, Haaland offers an explosivity which maybe Salah doesn't. Salah probably offers a more consistent run of returns. And, you know, like I said, if Salah scores, then he's the same thing as Cunha, is probably going to end up on the 3 bonus points. However, Haaland just has this thing about him that he has this explosive ability just to, you know, brace, hat-trick, 4, who knows. So yeah, for me, I'm going to keep him for 1 more week. We'll reassess after this game week. But at the time of recording, which is Friday evening, he is going to be my captain for the coming game week. Okay, so just to quickly go over my transfers on screen, this is what I'm looking like now. So like I said, I have made 1 transfer already, which is Rico Lewis was out for Konate coming in. That was my free transfer. I am possibly considering a -8, which would be Bukayo Saka down to Anthony Gordon, and then it would be Danny Welbeck going up to Alexander Isak. Now, obviously, Brighton have got Southampton next week, which means Danny Welbeck has got that prime fixture. I think the reason why I want to do this more so is, like I touched on it earlier in the video, where right now we come into this run of playing midweek fixtures a lot. I want to have players who are pretty much guaranteed 90 minutes. And the thing is, with Brighton, this is the reason why I'm looking at getting rid of Welbeck. I've had him for such a long time now, and he's been ticking over so well, but that's without João Pedro there. Ruta wasn't really in the team. Evan Ferguson wasn't really doing much, as to say. But Brighton have got so many options going forward that I just can't see Danny Welbeck at 34 playing weekend, midweek, weekend. So I feel like there's going to be a rotation there. Whereas Isak, on the other hand, with Callum Wilson not even back yet, we have no idea when he's coming back. He is their only fit striker. The same thing for Anthony Gordon as well. Saka, could there be a possibility of rotation? Usually Arteta likes to push him through. But again, at the time of recording, I don't know how bad his injury is, or if it's a serious injury, or if it's just one of those international ones. So I just think Gordon and Isak offer minutes much better than both of them. They're probably guaranteed 90 minutes. If Isak's not on the pitch, Gordon will be taking the pens. If Isak is on the pitch, he'll be taking pens. And it's not to say that you should base a decision all around penalties, but I think it does definitely come into a factor. There was a possibility that I was considering moving Saka down to Neto instead of Gordon, so I wasn't doubled up on Newcastle. But I just think, again, same thing as I've touched on with the midweek fixtures. I can't see, especially with the amount of players that Chelsea have, them not rotating as well. So yeah, just let me know in the comments down below as well what you guys think of these transfers. Do you think it's worth a -8 taking, Saka and Danny Welbeck out for Gordon and Isak? Okay, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below. We are back. FPL is back in full swing. Game week deadline is tomorrow, so make sure you guys do confirm your teams and get all it in. If you have any questions about anything, your team, anything that you see in this video, or my team, feel free to drop it in the comments down below, and I will reply to you guys before tomorrow's deadline. But like I said, once again, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below, and I'll catch you next time.